The sun was fading behind grey clouds when she heard it. The cry of life. An old woman, walking home through the quiet woods, stopped in her tracks. From beneath a fallen tree came soft whimpers, trembling, desperate sounds. She knelt down, her knees pressing into cold earth, heart pounding with fear. There, half buried in mud and leaves, lay a wounded mother Labrador beside her, 3 tiny puppies, shivering, clinging to her fragile warmth. Rain began to fall, slow and merciless, soaking her torn fur and broken hope. The old woman's eyes filled with tears. She knew pain when she saw it. No one else was there, only her, the dogs and the whisper of the forest. She removed her shawl, wrapped it gently around the trembling family. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Hold on, little ones. I've got you." Every step home was heavy, but her arms carried the weight of miracles. The storm grew stronger, yet her heart burned brighter than the lightning. That night, a lonely widow became a savior, and the woods found peace. Because sometimes angels don't descend from heaven. They walk with canes, and love, once given, can turn even a storm into a story of salvation. The forest was silent, wrapped in mist and fading daylight's sigh. Leaves shimmered with dew, hiding secrets beneath their fragile glow. An elderly woman named Martha walked the narrow trail home. Her basket of herbs swayed gently, her cane tapping in rhythm, but that evening the forest spoke, not in words, but in pain. A soft whimper echoed, trembling like a heart breaking in half. She froze, eyes scanning the shadows between the tall pines. There it was again, weak, pleading, muffled under fallen branches. Martha followed the sound, her heart guiding her shaking steps. Kneeling down, she brushed aside leaves, mud, and scattered twigs. Beneath them lay a Labrador, breathing shallow, eyes full of fear. Her golden fur was caked with dirt, one paw twisted from the fall. Beside her, 3 tiny puppies whimpered in their mother's shadow. They were cold, hungry, but alive, little sparks of hope in the rain. Martha gasped, tears pooling as she whispered, "Oh, my sweet loves." Her trembling fingers stroked their wet fur, warming them gently. The mother lifted her head weakly, eyes locking on to Martha's soul. It wasn't fear she saw. It was trust. Silent and desperate, rain began to fall harder. But Martha didn't care anymore. She removed her shawl, wrapping it around the mother and pups. The forest watched, quietly as one human chose love over comfort. Every heartbeat she felt was a promise. She wouldn't leave. That her own loneliness seemed to fade into their fragile warmth, and in that storm, an old woman found her reason to live again. The wind howled through the forest like a wounded creature's cry. Martha cradled the puppies close, shielding them from the rain. The mother Labrador whimpered softly. Too weak to walk, Martha's breath came in clouds as she whispered, "You'll be okay." Her hands ached, her legs trembled, but her heart refused to quit. Each step through the mud felt heavier than the last. Thunder rolled above her, shaking the trees to their roots. Lightning flashed, yet her courage burned brighter than the sky. She looked down. The puppies were still breathing. "Still fighting. Just a little further," she murmured, half to them, half to herself. Her cottage light glowed faintly at the edge of the woods. It felt like a star, distant, but enough to guide her through. Her cane sank deep into the soaked earth, but she didn't stop. Her clothes were drenched, but her spirit stayed fierce and warm. One puppy squeaked. She smiled, whispering, "That's my brave one." By the time she reached the porch, her arms had gone numb. She laid them on her shawl. Shaking from cold and exhaustion, the mother's eyes met hers again. Soft, pleading, grateful, Martha whispered, "You're safe now. Grandma's here." The fire crackled inside, waiting like an old friend to embrace them. She carried them in, step by careful step, her heart pounding wild. Behind her, the storm raged. But inside, peace waited. And in that fragile glow of firelight, survival took its first breath. The night had brought them together, and fate sealed the bond, because love always finds its way. Through even the darkest rain, the cottage glowed like a lantern in the heart of the way. Storm, Martha laid the mother dog near the fireplace, whispering softly. The puppies curled beside her, tiny bodies trembling with life. She covered them with a wool blanket, her tears falling quietly. The mother licked one puppy weakly, her eyes shining in thanks. Martha smiled, stroking her fur with hands roughened by years. "Don't worry, sweetheart," she said. "You're home now." She warmed milk on the stove, careful not to spill a drop. Each puppy drank slowly from the tiny spoon she held out. Their bellies rose with warmth, their cries fading to soft sighs. Martha's heart swelled. It had been years since she'd felt needed. The mother Labrador watched her every move with calm trust. For once, the house didn't feel empty. It felt alive with purpose. She lit another candle, praying softly for their healing. Outside, the wind quieted, as if bowing to her devotion. The mother drifted to sleep, safe at last from hunger and cold. Martha sat beside her, humming a lullaby from her youth. The puppies twitched and whimpered in their tiny dreams, their little breaths synchronized with the rhythm of her song. The fire's glow painted the walls. With dancing memories, she realized this wasn't rescue. It was rebirth for them all. The loneliness that haunted her cottage melted like frost. Every heartbeat in that room stitched broken souls together. And in that gentle light, love became her greatest miracle. The storm passed, leaving the world washed in gold and silence. Sunlight streamed through the window, warming every corner. Martha awoke to soft yips and playful nudges at her hand. The puppies were awake, clumsy, bright, and alive. Their mother wagged her tail gently, eyes full of gratitude. Martha laughed, a sound she hadn't heard from herself in years. The house echoed with tiny paws and unfiltered joy. Scout, the smallest, climbed onto her lap and fell asleep. She whispered, "Oh, little one, you've stolen my heart already." Outside, the snow sparkled. The world seemed reborn. Martha brewed tea and shared a biscuit with the mother Labrador. She spoke softly to her, as if to an old friend returned home. "Your babies are strong," she said. "You did well, brave girl." The dog rested her head on Martha's knee, eyes shimmering. In that touch, two broken lives healed one another silently. News of the rescue spread across the quiet village soon after. Neighbors came by, bringing milk, blankets, and kind smiles. Children peeked through the window, giggling at the puppies. They called her Grandma Martha, the angel of the Labradors. She'd only meant to save them, but they saved her, too. Every bark filled her lonely cottage with purpose again. The sound of life became the sweetest music she knew. Even the wind outside seemed gentler when they were near. Because sometimes love's greatest miracles come on four paws, and every sunrise reminded her she wasn't alone anymore. Days turned into weeks, and the little family grew stronger. The puppies tumbled across the floor, chasing shadows of light. Their mother regained strength, her fur glowing like sunshine. Martha often sat by the fire, smiling as she watched them play. Scout, Daisy, and Maple, that's what she named the 3 pups. Each name carried a memory, a story of courage and warmth. The mother, now called Grace, followed Martha everywhere. They were inseparable, 2 hearts stitched by destiny. Neighbors visited daily, bringing joy to her once quiet home. Children came with flowers and stayed to play with the puppies. Grace wagged her tail proudly, her eyes full of maternal peace. Every bark, every giggle became a hymn of gratitude. Martha's eyes sparkled brighter than they had in years. She found laughter again in the smallest of moments. Evenings were filled with lullabies, tea, and puppy yawns. Each night she thanked the heavens for that fateful storm, because it had not come to destroy, it came to unite. The cottage had become a sanctuary of hope and healing. Martha's old heart beat strong, with purpose once more. She wasn't just a rescuer, she was a mother, reborn. Grace rested her head on Martha's lap, eyes half closed, their breaths matched. Old and young, broken and healed. Outside, the moon rose gently over fields of silver frost. Love filled every shadow, every quiet corner of her home, and the storm that once terrified her now felt like grace itself. Snow still covered the hills, but warmth had returned to Martha's heart. Grace would rest her head on Martha's lap as the fire softly glowed. The puppies played near the rug, tumbling over each other's joy. Every laugh from Martha felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. She began singing again, songs she once hummed for her late husband. The cottage walls echoed with life, love and gentle second chances. When Grace barked, Martha smiled. "That's my brave little girl." Loneliness no longer haunted her small wooden porch at night. The stars above seemed brighter, as if blessing their reunion. Each day she whispered a prayer for the storm that brought them together. Because sometimes salvation hides behind nature's coldest nights, and sometimes it comes wrapped in fur and faith instead of wings. Grace followed Martha everywhere, her eyes full of soft devotion. The puppies clung to her skirt. Tugging playfully with tiny teeth, she laughed like a child again, pure, free, and full of wonder. In saving them, she had unknowingly saved herself too. The bond between them became her reason to wake each day. Even in silence, they spoke the same language: love. Her wrinkles carried joy now, not sorrow or fear. The fireplace became their sanctuary against every winter wind. Grace would nuzzle her hand, and Martha would whisper thanks. Together, they turned a lonely cabin into a home of miracles. Every paw print in the snow was a memory she vowed to keep. The woman who once walked alone now walked beside a family, and that, she thought, was the true meaning of being found. One bitter night, a cry echoed again from deep within the forest. Grace bolted upright, her instincts sharp, her heart alert. Martha hesitated, her legs trembled, but her courage did not. She lit her lantern, whispering, "No creature should freeze alone." Snowflakes swirled like ghosts as she stepped into the storm. Grace followed, her puppies whimpering softly at the doorway. Through the white veil, they found another life in peril. A stray dog, old and weak, lay half buried in the icy ground. Martha fell to her knees, her shawl wrapping around the stranger. Grace stood beside her, whining as if to help her mother save. The The scene mirrored the night she'd been rescued years before, and in that reflection, Martha saw the circle of mercy complete. With trembling hands, she lifted the stray and whispered, "Not tonight." Her lantern flickered, but her faith burned strong in her chest. Step by step, they carried the weak body back to the cottage. Grace barked, calling the puppies to clear space by the fire. Martha smiled through tears. "You remember, don't you, girl?" The family of Labradors curled around the new arrival in silence. For the first time in her life, Martha felt truly surrounded by love. No storm could harm them, not when hearts like theirs still cared. The cottage glowed that night brighter than any star outside, because light born of kindness never dims, not even in snow. And for Martha, compassion had become her truest calling. Love had multiplied, not divided, with every act of mercy. The rescuer had become a legend whispered by the winter winds. Years passed, and Martha grew slower, her steps soft as memory. The puppies were grown now, strong, loyal protectors of her heart. Grace, her faithful friend, lay beside her on the porch each dawn. The snow fell gently one last time, wrapping the world in silence. Martha whispered, "You've given me more life than I ever dreamed." Grace raised her head, eyes glistening with unspoken understanding. That morning, as sunlight kissed the hills, Martha closed her eyes. Her hand rested on Grace's head, still, warm, and peaceful. No struggle, no pain, just a quiet smile frozen in serenity. Grace howled softly, a sound that broke every heart that heard. But she did not leave her side, not for a single moment. The village later found them together, a picture of eternal love. They buried Martha beneath the oak she used to rest beneath. Grace and her family lay there every night, guarding her still. Seasons changed, but that bond never faded, nor did her kindness. Her cottage became a shelter, her story told to every traveller. They called it Martha's Haven, a place where love always survives. And when snow falls, villagers swear they hear a woman's whisper, "Help the lost, save the small." Love without reason. Because some angels never leave, they just change their form. Her spirit lived on in every wagging tail she once rescued. The snow no longer symbolized cold. It symbolized rebirth and love. Once given, echoed forever in the hearts it touched. Now old herself, still watched the horizon each sunrise, waiting, perhaps, for the sound of her friend's gentle call, and somewhere beyond the snow, Martha smiled back. True kindness asks for nothing, yet gives everything in return. Love doesn't fade with age. It grows stronger with compassion. Even the smallest act can rewrite another soul's destiny. A rescued life carries gratitude that never forgets its Savior. The warmth we share becomes our legacy long after we're gone. Storms may destroy, but love rebuilds in silence and in grace. Hearts that choose empathy never grow old, they grow eternal. Each creature saved is a prayer answered in another form. The purest souls are those who heal what others overlook. Love doesn't need wings to be angelic, only courage to care. What we give freely becomes our immortality in this world. The elderly woman's story reminds us mercy is timeless, and even in snow, there's warmth when hearts remain open, because kindness, once lit, outshines every storm forever. In saving others, we truly save ourselves. We truly save ourselves.